Everyday English listening. Let's listen to English every day because it helps us improve our listening skills, understand pronunciation better, learn new vocabulary, and become more confident in real conversations. Keep practicing. Happiness is found when we begin to see a clear direction in our career. 1,000 words. Happiness can mean many things to different people. For some, it's found in relationships, in health, or in simple moments of peace. But one of the most powerful and fulfilling sources of happiness in our lives is discovering a clear direction in our career. There's something deeply reassuring and energizing about knowing where you are headed professionally. When you no longer feel lost, when your work begins to align with your goals and values, happiness naturally follows. At the beginning of any career journey, it's common to feel uncertain. Many people take jobs because they need to survive, not because they are passionate about them. We follow the safest or most convenient path, or sometimes do what others expect us to do. This is a necessary part of life. Gaining experience, paying bills, learning new skills. But while we're busy working, something inside us often asks, is this what I truly want to do? Is this the path meant for me? That question can cause anxiety if we don't have an answer. But when we begin to find that answer, when we start to see a clear direction, we feel a shift inside. Things begin to make sense. Even if the road ahead is long or challenging, knowing where we want to go gives us a purpose that lifts us. The fog of confusion begins to clear, and with that clarity comes a special kind of happiness. The happiness of living with direction. Seeing a clear direction in our career doesn't mean we've figured everything out. It doesn't require us to know every step of the way. It simply means we've found a focus, a goal, or a passion that guides our efforts. Whether it's becoming a teacher, building a business, helping others, writing books, or mastering a technical skill. Once we begin to understand what truly matters to us, every small step starts to feel meaningful. Imagine waking up in the morning excited to do what you do. Imagine looking forward to learning, growing, and contributing in a way that feels right for you. That's the power of career clarity. Instead of dragging yourself through each day, you start to walk with purpose, you smile more, you feel motivated, you feel like your time is being used wisely. That's happiness. Of course, finding that clear direction doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes years of trial and error. You may switch jobs, explore different fields, or take time to reflect on what fulfills you. That journey can be frustrating, but it's also part of the process. Each wrong turn teaches us something. Each experience helps us better understand what we enjoy, what we're good at, and what kind of work environment allows us to thrive. For some people, the turning point comes when they stop chasing status or money and start asking, what kind of life do I want to live? They realize that career success doesn't have to look the same for everyone. For one person, success might be owning a company. For another, it might be having flexible hours, working with children, or creating art. When we define success on our own terms, we take back control, and that leads us toward happiness. There's also great joy in realizing that our work matters. When your career direction aligns with your values, when you know you're making a difference, serving others, solving problems, or expressing your creativity, you feel more than just satisfied. You feel alive. You feel proud. You feel like you belong in the space you're occupying. That sense of alignment is one of the strongest forms of career happiness. A clear career direction also brings inner peace. The uncertainty that once filled your thoughts begins to fade. You're no longer worried about whether you're wasting your time or making the wrong choices. You may still have challenges, but you face them with confidence because you believe in the path you've chosen. That confidence allows you to grow even more, take bolder steps, and handle setbacks with strength. One of the most beautiful things about seeing your career path clearly is the freedom it brings. You're no longer comparing yourself constantly to others. You're not chasing trends or doing what everyone else is doing just to fit in. You're building something that's yours. That freedom brings happiness, not the loud kind, but the quiet, lasting kind that settles into your soul. And when you love what you do, you naturally begin to inspire others. People around you can see your passion and your clarity. They might ask you how you found your path, and your story might help guide someone else. That ripple effect of being in the right place and encouraging others to find theirs creates a kind of shared happiness that extends beyond your own journey. Happiness in a career also shows up in how you handle stress. Every job has challenges, but when you believe in the work you do, stress becomes easier to manage. You're willing to push through the hard days because you know what you're working toward. That sense of direction gives you strength, and your happiness isn't destroyed by temporary frustrations. Sometimes, career clarity comes through the help of others. A mentor, a teacher, a friend, or even a stranger's words can light a spark in you. Listening to your heart and staying open to possibilities helps you recognize those signs. Paying attention to what energizes you, what drains you, and what you lose track of time doing, those are clues that lead you closer to the direction meant for you.
When we finally begin to see a clear direction in our career, it feels like opening a door that was locked for a long time. For many of us, life is filled with uncertainty, especially when it comes to choosing the right path for our future. But the moment we discover what truly inspires us and gives our work meaning, happiness flows naturally. It's not always about reaching a dream job overnight. It's about feeling confident that we're headed in the right direction. Before that moment of clarity, it's common to feel confused, overwhelmed, or even discouraged. Some people graduate from school and find themselves jumping from job to job, unsure of what suits them. Others may spend years in a career that pays the bills but doesn't satisfy the soul. That kind of dissatisfaction builds up slowly. You may not notice it at first, but over time, it becomes hard to ignore. Each day begins to feel like a routine without purpose. And deep inside, you know something needs to change. Then something happens. Sometimes it's a conversation, a class, a challenge, or even a mistake, but suddenly you realize what you want. You see a vision of your ideal future, and it finally feels possible. That's the turning point. That's when hope is born again. And with that hope comes happiness, because it means you've stopped wandering and started walking with intention. This shift doesn't necessarily make life easier, but it does make it more meaningful. Every action you take, whether it's studying a new subject, applying for a new job, or practicing a new skill, feels exciting. You feel motivated to wake up earlier, work harder, and keep learning, not because you have to, but because you want to. There is a purpose behind your effort, and that purpose makes all the difference. Having a clear direction in your career also helps build your identity. You begin to understand who you are, what you value, and what kind of work reflects your personality and strengths. Your confidence grows because you're not trying to fit into roles that aren't meant for you anymore. Instead, you're creating a role that matches your talents and dreams. That authenticity leads to joy, a deep, quiet joy that stays with you, even on hard days. You may still face challenges, but you're less afraid of them. You accept setbacks as part of the journey, not as signs of failure. Because when your direction is clear, you don't give up so easily. You stay focused, patient, and persistent. You keep moving forward, even when progress is slow. That resilience comes from knowing why you're doing what you're doing, and that why is the foundation of your happiness. Another beautiful thing about discovering your career direction is how it changes your mindset. You begin to see work not just as a way to earn money, but as a way to grow, contribute, and express yourself. You take pride in what you do. You celebrate your progress. You feel a sense of fulfillment, even from small accomplishments, because they're part of a bigger picture that matters to you. Your relationships also benefit. When you're happier in your career, you bring that positive energy home with you. You feel less stressed, more focused, and more satisfied. You're able to show up for your loved ones with a full heart instead of being drained or frustrated. People notice the change in you, your enthusiasm, your confidence, your peace, and they're inspired by it. Sometimes career clarity can also lead to bold decisions. You might decide to go back to school, start your own business, move to a new place, or leave a job that no longer fits you. Those choices can be scary, but they're also freeing. Because once you've seen your true path, it's hard to settle for anything less. And the happiness that comes from honoring your own journey is worth every risk. Of course, there may still be doubts. Even with direction, we all have moments when we question ourselves. But when you have a clear purpose, those doubts don't last as long. You remind yourself of your why, and that reminder helps you refocus. You trust your instincts. You know that even if the road is winding, you're heading in the right direction, and that brings peace to your mind and heart. Sometimes clarity comes not just from knowing what you want to do, but from knowing how you want to live. You may realize that you want a career that gives you time for your family, for creativity, or for community service. Or perhaps you want to work remotely, travel, or have the freedom to choose your own schedule. Seeing your career direction clearly means more than just choosing a job. It's about designing a life that reflects your values and dreams. This kind of happiness is quiet and deep. It doesn't depend on applause or approval from others. It grows from the inside out, and it continues to grow as you evolve and expand your path. Because the truth is, career direction isn't a fixed point, it's a living, changing journey. You keep learning, adjusting, and improving along the way. But once you've found the core of what matters to you, everything else becomes easier to navigate. There's a quiet kind of happiness that blossoms the moment we begin to understand the direction of our career. It's not always loud or obvious, but it grows inside us, slowly transforming uncertainty into purpose and fear into confidence. Seeing a clear path in our professional life doesn't mean everything will be perfect, but it does mean we've stopped walking in circles, and that brings an enormous sense of relief and joy. Many people spend years working in jobs that feel disconnected from their inner values or long-term dreams. They wake up each morning wondering if their efforts matter or if they're just going through the motions. That feeling can lead to emotional fatigue, low motivation, and even depression. But when we finally take steps toward a career that aligns with who we truly are, something changes. The fog lifts. The questions become answers. The "why am I doing this?" becomes "I know why, and I'm proud of it." This kind of clarity doesn't come overnight. Often, it's the result of many small experiences. The job we disliked, the passion we discovered by accident, the mentor who gave us advice that stuck, or the moment of reflection that made us realize what truly matters. These experiences act like stepping stones, leading us toward the direction we were always meant to take. And once we begin walking on that path with purpose, happiness follows us like a shadow. One of the biggest reasons we feel happier when we see our career path clearly is because we begin to live with intention. We stop drifting. We make decisions with clarity and confidence. We're not just working to survive, we're working to grow, to contribute, and to build a life we can be proud of. This kind of intentional living brings satisfaction that money alone can't buy. It gives us a reason to keep going, even when the journey gets tough. Another important part of this happiness is the sense of progress. When we're unclear about our career, we often feel stuck or lost. But when we find a direction, every small achievement feels like a step forward. We begin to measure our success not only by titles or salaries, but by growth, fulfillment, and impact. That progress is incredibly rewarding, and it builds confidence day by day. Clarity also helps us develop a stronger sense of identity. When we understand what we're working toward and why it matters to us, we start to see ourselves in a new light. We begin to believe in our own potential. We carry ourselves with more self-respect. We stop needing constant external validation because we found something solid inside us, a purpose that doesn't depend on others' approval. That inner confidence brings peace, which is a quiet form of happiness that stays with us no matter what happens around us. When we start aligning our daily efforts with our long-term dreams, we also become more resilient. The same tasks that once felt meaningless begin to feel like building blocks. We're no longer afraid of hard work or challenges because we know they're part of the path we've chosen. Even failure becomes easier to accept because we see it as part of the process, not as a dead end. And this shift in mindset makes us more positive, more focused, and ultimately more joyful. Another beautiful part of finding direction in our career is that it opens the door to serving others. When we're passionate about what we do, our work often benefits more than just ourselves. We inspire others, help others, teach others, or build something that makes life better for someone else. That feeling of making a difference adds a deeper layer of happiness. It turns our work into a form of kindness, and the more people we uplift, the more uplifted we feel in return. Career clarity also brings us into alignment with our values. When we're working in a space that reflects what we truly care about, whether it's creativity, honesty, freedom, learning, or helping others, we feel at peace with ourselves. There's no longer a war between who we are and what we do. Instead, there's harmony. We stop living two separate lives, one at work and one at home, and we become whole. That alignment creates integrity, and integrity is one of the strongest roots of long-term happiness. As our career direction becomes clearer, our relationships often improve too. When we're satisfied and fulfilled in our professional lives, we bring that positive energy into our homes and friendships. We have more patience, more joy, and more love to give. We become better listeners, better partners, better parents, and better friends. The stress that once drained us begins to lift, and our loved ones notice the difference in our mood, our mindset, and our presence. Perhaps one of the most powerful outcomes of seeing a clear career path is the freedom it creates. We're free to dream bigger, to take risks, to invest in our growth, and to say no to things that don't serve us. We no longer feel trapped by fear, confusion, or comparison. We know what we want, and that gives us the freedom to chase it. That freedom leads to confidence, and confidence leads to joy. It's also important to recognize that career direction isn't a finish line, it's a journey. Even once we find clarity, we continue to evolve. Our passions may shift, our skills may grow, and new opportunities may lead us in directions we didn't expect. But that's okay. As long as we keep checking in with ourselves and staying true to what brings us meaning, we'll stay on the right path. And each new chapter will bring its own kind of happiness. For those who haven't found that direction yet, don't worry, it's not too late. Sometimes the path becomes clear only after we've tried, failed, explored, and questioned everything. The key is to stay curious, to keep listening to your heart, and to never settle for a life that feels empty or false. Your direction is waiting for you, and once you find it, you'll understand why the journey was worth it. So, if you're on the edge of discovering your path, take the leap. Follow the voice inside you that says, "This is who I am." Be brave enough to change course, to ask for help, to start small, or to begin again. Because when you begin to walk the road that feels right, even if it's uncertain or untested, you'll find a happiness that's real, lasting, and deeply personal. In the end, happiness is found when we begin to see a clear direction in our career, because that direction becomes our compass. It guides our efforts, shapes our choices, fuels our passion, and gives meaning to our days. It turns our work into a source of pride and our dreams into a reason to keep moving forward. Because in the end, happiness is truly found when we begin to see a clear direction in our career. It brings focus, motivation, and meaning to our days. It transforms work from a burden into a blessing, and it fills our lives with purpose, one step, one goal, one dream at a time. Happiness is found when we begin to see a clear direction in our career. That's when life starts to bloom from the inside out,